U.S. are beginning to lift some restrictions, some businesses are reopening. People want to know what rights do they have before they go back to work. Joining me now is attorney Natasha Sarah-Lorraine Banks. Natasha, good to see you. Let's talk about the rights. Do employees have any protections if they say, hey, look, I'm not ready to go back, I don't feel safe there? Is there something they can do?
Well, first off, thank you so much for having me on the show today. Thank you to you and Headline News and to all your viewers. The Congress did enact the Families First Coronavirus Response Act on April 1st, and it applies to businesses that have less than 500 employees. So employees essentially have opportunities to request time off for leave if they are unable to work or work from home for COVID-19 related reasons. And the Families First Coronavirus Response Act provides two opportunities for employees to request time off for COVID-19 related reasons. The first opportunity is emergency paid sick leave. Now here an employee can request time if the need is to care for themselves or self-care. Let's say the employee is subject to an executive order that requires a shelter in place, or is experiencing COVID-19 related symptoms, has tested positive for COVID-19, and his or her medical provider has instructed that he or she self-quarantine or self-isolate. That could be one of the self-care reasons for an employee to request leave under the emergency paid sick leave provision. Another is, let's say that the employee needs to care for another. There's an individual in their home that is also subject to an executive order to shelter in place, or that individual is subject to instructions from their medical provider to self-isolate or self-quarantine because they also are experiencing COVID-19 symptoms or tested positive. Another under care for others is if there's a minor child in the home and the employee needs to care for the child because his or her daycare or school is closed due to COVID-19 related reasons. And there's a second opportunity for employees to request time off for COVID-19 related situations. There's the Emergency Family and Medical Leave Expansion Act, which provides an additional 10 weeks to employees who need to take time off for reasons relating to caring for a minor child whose school or daycare is closed, but the employee has to have worked for the employer for at least 30 calendar days.
So Natasha, there is a long list, and we're so happy that you mentioned those because it informs those who say, look, maybe I can't go back and they feel like they have to. What if none of that applies to them and they do go back to work, but just inside they feel like, this doesn't feel as safe as it should? Can they do anything or talk to their employer, number one, or take legal action if the employer is not willing to do anything?
Well, number one, I always would like to empower people, empower the employees to speak up. Employees can speak with their supervisors. If they don't feel comfortable speaking with their supervisors, talk with your HR department. Try to be collaborative. Why do you feel uncomfortable returning to work? Do you have any ideas, or can you be a thought partner with your employer to try to determine ways to make the environment safer or more inviting for employees to return to work? The issue, Susan, is if an employee unilaterally decides, hey, I don't feel comfortable going back to work and I'm not going to go, and the reason does not follow or qualify under the Families First Coronavirus Response Act or any other law, the employer may not be obligated to pay that employee for the time that he or she is not at work or even keep the job secure. Now, if there are some egregious issues that are happening at work where the employee feels like they're not in a safe and healthy work environment, there are some requirements under the Occupational Safety and Health Act. There's a general duty clause, section 5A1, that requires employers provide a safe and healthy workplace that is free of hazardous conditions that could cause physical harm or death. And we know if an employee is exposed to a situation where COVID-19 infection can occur, that would definitely qualify as potentially causing physical harm or death. So there are some protections, but I think having open dialogue is most important in this time because both the employer and the employees haven't dealt with these type of issues before. So it's important that all parties be collaborative.
Yeah, global pandemic certainly is new. Knowledge is information, and thank you for giving us that knowledge, Natasha Banks.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.